Hey people in YouTube land, Zach Hall here. Wanted to bring you guys another couple Bible reviews. So what we're going to be reviewing today is the KJV Wide Margin Journaling Edition from Tyndale with the Filament app included. This is in genuine leather. I'll just show you the box really quick, but we'll go over the Filament app. I won't be able to show it to you on camera because I shoot with my phone and the app's on my phone, but I'll talk about it. It's a pretty cool app. Essentially what they're trying to do with this Bible is give you a wide margin Bible, wide margin study Bible without having all the notes, charts, maps, and everything inside the Bible, so that way it's not as bulky or as big. And then that way the app kind of acts as the extra study tools, since a lot of people use their phone already. So the Filament app is a really cool app. I've used it before for study prep and sermon preparation, and it is a really cool tool. But the Bible at hand here, guys, is the Wide Margin Journaling Edition in genuine leather. This is a nice genuine leather. They don't say what it is. You can see here on the inside it does say genuine leather. I think it's closest to a calf split. It's pretty rough and tough. You can definitely do that with your nails and you're not going to scratch it up at all. It is soft though to the touch. It does feel good. It does feel like a genuine leather, so it doesn't feel fake or plasticky. It does feel like a good piece of leather. It is pretty thick. It does have the vinyl paste off liner. It does have a basic spine. I like that a lot about Tyndale's Bibles. So we have Tyndale, Holy Bible, KJV. Comes with one ribbon marker. It does have gold gilded page edges. And to let you know, this does come in a bunch of different styles. It does come with an ornament hardback. It comes in a brown leather soft with I think a Celtic cross or something like that on it. So there are different options that are cheaper, but the paper is still just as good. And you can get those rebound, or you could just get those. And then you can always find the genuine leather edition for cheaper than this. I bought it at a store, so if you go on Christian book distributors website, they probably have it for cheaper. But getting into this, like I said, you have the vinyl paste off liner, you have a presentation page, your title page, all the fun stuff in the front here, copyrights, all that stuff. You have your index, your contents page. Here's how to get the filament. So when you get a Bible that's filament enabled, so for example, they don't just have a wide margin, they have also a thin line, a giant print, this wide margin edition, and they might have another one that's filament enabled as well. What you do is you just follow these steps, and it'll essentially, you download the app, you search Filament app, you follow the on-screen prompts. It'll have you scan one page, put in something that it knows it's your Bible, and then you're pretty much off to the races. It was really easy to set up. Took me about maybe 3 to 4 minutes. You get the epistle dedicatory here at the beginning, and then you get right into the Old Testament title page, and then right into Genesis. Now this is an 8-point modern typeset, so it is a new clean typeset for the King James. I really do love the fact that this looks more modern, more up to date. So it's a lot cleaner font. You can see there. Now you get a nice 2.5 inch wide margin here with lines. They are more wide spaced, and I'll show you that where I took notes. I write tiny, so I really didn't like the fact that the lines were as spaced apart, but I was pretty much debating between the Thomas Nelson Journaling Bible and this one, and the font and some of the other features just kind of won out for me in the end. Especially the genuine leather. Loved how it looked, so I went with this one. But I'm pleased with the font. It is verse by verse. You do have textual notes at the bottom. Really all they are is just updates to archaic words or words that they think people might not understand. So you can see we have the page, the book chapter at the top. There are no running page headers. They do have in-text paragraph headers to help you throughout the text. This is a red letter edition as well. Flip to the Psalms. You can see it pretty much lays flat out of the box too. It didn't really need a lot of breaking in time to be able to lay flat. Show you the poetry section here. So it's also verse by verse, but it is laid out quite nicely. So what you do with the Filament app essentially is, this is what it looks like on the box. So what you do is you take your phone, you can see, you scan the page, so you see those little tiles at the top there, or it looks like a tile. So that corresponds to this actual page. So you see the same symbol there. So all you do is actually on the app, you take it, you scan whatever page you're reading, and then it will pull up these three things. So you can do study, reflect, or see. Study is essentially detailed commentary notes. Now, I will say on certain passages, obviously there's going to be a lot less commentary, and on other passages there'll be a lot more. So, you know, it's kind of pick your poison, but it does have a lot of study notes. So you can see 25,000 study notes there, 350 videos, which are mostly from the Bible Project, 40 maps and infographics, 400 profiles of people, articles, and devotionals. So essentially it's like the Life Application Study Bible combined with their NLT Study Bible to make the Filament app. So it's kind of a combination of a lot of stuff. You have a lot of applications. So if you want to do application, you go to Reflect. You'll have more devotional content, more personal notes. C is more of the maps, charts, and everything it may have on that passage. But all you do is you have that app. So you have all the study features on your phone that don't take up space in your Bible. So it's a pretty cool concept. And then here at the bottom, you can see too, you have reading plans. So they have a bunch of reading plans. They have C, an audio Bible, and some different stuff as well. So it is a really cool app. I encourage you, if you don't know what this is, you should at least check it out. It is a pretty cool study app that they have. I might do a video on the Filament app itself so you guys can kind of see what it looks like and how to use it. But here's the red letter. It's really well done. The phone's definitely going to show you here a lighter version. This is actually, it's a couple tints darker than this. It's a very deep red, but there's no mistaking that it is actually a red letter. Now I'll show you where I've taken some notes, and I'll talk about my writing style. So if you're someone who has a little bit bigger handwriting, you may find these lines just perfect. So what I did essentially with mine is, you can see how I write small. The lines make it nice and spaced out, so that way it's very clean when you write, and you're writing it, it's very legible. So I did like that. I did like the fact that the lines make your notes kind of spread out. It's easier to read. You can see though, I also take advantage of all this white space in the text. I actually really like that about this Bible too. Tons of white space. So for me, who writes tiny, I can put a lot of my notes next to the verse, and then that gives me even more space to comment on those verses out here in the margin. Now, when I make a note out here in the margin, what I do is I actually underline the verse I made a note on. So that way, my eye immediately knows if I underlined a verse here, I know there's a note out here in this column. Because sometimes, like I made a note up here, verse 32, but verse 32, oh, it's on another page. I'll show you on another page. I had to write a note that was like down here next to a verse, but then I actually had to write it back up at the top. So the fact that I underlined it helped me to remember that. And so kind of my little system that I have going on with this one. But then I took some more notes in Galatians and in Jude. And I'll show you what I did in Jude. I actually doubled up my lines as far as how I was writing, so that way I could fit more in. But it does look a lot more crammed. So it kind of has its drawbacks, but I was able to get a lot more into the margin. So here in Galatians, I did the same thing. Just kind of wrote out how the lines were. So it's pretty spaced out. But you can see up here I have a note on verse 17, which is down here, but I ran out of space down here. So what I did is I just underlined, and then I pretty much just put it back up here. So that way I knew there was a note there. But then I'll show you guys the ghosting on this too, so you can kind of see. The paper is thick. I'd say, if I had to guess, it doesn't say, and I didn't get any information from Tyndale, but if I had to guess how thick the paper was, I would say it's definitely between a 36 and a 40 on the GSM. And the nice thing, the reason why this won out for me over a lot of other journaling Bibles is that the paper is actually white in color, like a typical wide margin. So like here's the Holman single column. You can see it's a white paper. Got the note takers here, which we'll compare it to as well. You can see it's a white paper. So a lot of journaling Bibles, if you're a journaling Bible person, you know, a lot of them are, cream color, a very yellow color. To me, it's just off-putting. I really don't like the cream color paper when it's that cream of a color. I mean, it's just yellow. It just doesn't look good. To me, it's actually harder to read the words on the page. So I really like the white for this. And then they made the paper thicker. So that way, if you do want to do painting on it or, colors on it, you can. And I still think the paper would hold up pretty well. Now, I mainly will just use it for a wide margin. That's why I was interested in getting it. So you can see there, and I'll show you here in Jude what I did here. So there's that one ribbon. It's just the basic red ribbon. It's a nice red. It goes well with the rest of the Bible, but it is just a really basic ribbon. So what I did is, you can see here, I go to a Bible study on Tuesday, and we were going through Jude. And so I was just pretty much using it normal, how the lines are. And then I was like, man, this is really not enough space for me. So then I started writing multiple lines between the two lines. And so you can see it's a lot more crammed, but I was able to get a lot more information in there. So that's kind of the decisions you're going to have to make when you get this. If you're a small writer, you will probably be able to put a ton of information in here, but it may look a lot more crammed because you're trying to write in between the lines. And then if you're a person who writes big, you might have it look very pretty, very beautiful, very nice and laid out, but you might not be able to put as much on the page as you probably would like. Now, a lot of times the page will end here and they start a new book. So a lot of times you will get some space here at the bottom of the end of each book, where like in Jude, that's perfect because you can write a lot of notes on any of the chapters or any of the chapter information here, back here, and you have tons of space to do that. This does not have self-pronunciation marks. That was one thing I wanted to mention. It is really basic as far as the actual physical Bible. So like I said, a lot of all your study information and all that stuff's going to be on your Filament app. This is really just going to be a Bible you can carry around, not really having to worry about it being overly big or thick with all of it. But you know, having said that, it is a journaling Bible. That's single column. So it is a thick Bible, but it's not overly big. So like I said, here's a single column wide margin Bible from Holman. That's bigger, and it's a touch thicker than the journaling Bible. Now it does have 10-point font though, but as you can see, the reason I wanted to get a journaling Bible is that the margins here are nice on the outside, but it's at least half as big as the journaling Bible. Even with this margin on the edge, it's hard to sometimes get notes in there, although I'll say it is nice and big compared to other ones. So you have a bigger font, but because of that, you're going to have less space for notes. So you have a lot more space in this, and with it being a single column, you can write a lot more notes per verse is at least the idea. So there's the Holman, and then the only other one I really wanted to compare it to was the Note Takers. And the one I have here is from the KJV store in lambskin. So you can see the Note Takers is a little bit thicker. It also has a bigger font. It's also taller, and I would say probably about the same width. Let's see if we can get that to focus for you. But yeah, it's about essentially the same width there. So there we go. So we get that back up there. And then opening this up, you can see the Note Takers has definitely a lot bigger font. And the column is actually about the same. So this is about 2.5 inches. This is also about 2.5 inches. Now your lines, though, do not go all the way edge to edge. So if you do want to take advantage of all the space, you're going to have to start at the edge of the page and then right across to your line. Whereas with the Note Takers, what I like about it is the white space doesn't hold you to a certain line or where you have to pick your notes. So the only thing I didn't like about this journaling Bible, honestly, is the lines. I know a lot of people like that. And like I showed you, it does help keep your notes nice and organized and looking nice and spaced out so they're easier to read. But for me, it's like, it feels like as a hindrance, like it just clogs things up because I want to be able to use as much of the space as possible, and the lines kind of take away from that. Whereas you can see in the Note Takers, yes, my handwriting's small, and I can still read it just fine. And like I said, these notes are for me now. I know when I get older, I probably won't be able to read them, but then I'm thinking of my kids who will be able to read the handwriting. But you can see I can put a ton of notes in there, and I haven't even taken up really a quarter of that column. And that's all on just the first couple verses. So I was able to get a lot in there, you know, compared to this guy, or I'll show you in Galatians again. I was trying to just transfer notes from my old Bible to my new one. Get the Note Takers up here. So you can just see the difference. So it does look a lot more spaced out, easier to read on the journaling Bible, but the note takers really allows you, I think, in my opinion, to write a lot more on each verse. Now on the back of this guy, you do get a verse finder. So there's what this is mainly is like topical stuff. It's not necessarily word based. So you can see like angels, antichrist, armor, arguments, atonement. So while there are ideas or concepts in the scriptures, it's not necessarily like a particular verse or a word based concordance. It's more like a topical concordance. Like for example, like abortion doesn't really come up as far as the word in scripture, but you can see here God cares for the unborn, we should protect the helpless, children are from God forms every child. So you have verses under these categories where you're going to be able to find stuff related to those topics. Then you have this visual overview of the Bible. I'm going to say Tyndale actually has some of the most impressive maps of a Bible I think I have owned. So let's just get through these real quick. So you can kind of see the color is really good. This is the world of the patriarchs, where Abraham comes from Haran, and then down into the Promised Land, down into Egypt, back there. You have the route of this of the Exodus. Again, I disagree here with the route they have, but that's just most publishers have that. But it is still a very well done map. Here's Israel's annual calendar. So this is pretty cool. So you have all the months and like what they would be doing during those months, their feast, different things like that. And then on the outside, our corresponding month to their month. So it is pretty cool. You have the 12 tribes of Israel. So again, the colors, well done. Here you have the kingdom of Israel. This one is really cool right here. It's one of my favorites. This is the book of Psalms, grouped together. So then like the size of the psalm too, like depending on how big the chapter is, the bubble gets even bigger. Then they break it out here for you. So praise psalms are this color, thanksgiving psalms are this color, trust psalms or psalms of faith are that, wisdom are this color, royal psalms, so kind of like about the king, or messianic psalms. God is king. They do have the messianic, Zion, lament, vindication. So it breaks up the psalms, which is really, really cool. Then here is a chart of Israel and Judah and their exiles. Here is a map of the exiles. So when Israel went into exile, when Judah went into exile, and when they came back and built the temple. Here's a map of ministry of Jesus. So here's the key. This is the actual map. Then you have prophecies of the Messiah. These are, I mean, there are some cool things back here in this Bible. So I would say like their map section, A+ for me. This is really cool. Oh, here is the Old Testament and the New Testament letters. So how many times Old Testament books are quoted in New Testament letters. So this is a really cool book, or a little cool chart. So you can see like in Romans, there's 58 references to the Old Testament. Hebrews, there's 39. 1 Peter, there's 13. Galatians. So this is specifically in the epistles and things like that. But it is such a cool map. And then that's pretty much the end of it. So this is a great Bible, honestly. I would say the font sometimes is a little small when I'm reading it, but the 8-point font is sharp. It is a digital font. It does not have breakage, like the letters do not break apart. They're always perfectly spaced because it's a modern typesetting. It comes with a Filament app. Great paper. It's very thick. The micron pen I was writing with was an 01, so it was a thicker pen. Still wasn't bleeding through. You get a bunch of features in this Bible. So I highly recommend this if you can get your hands on it. If you're looking for a good journaling Bible with some study materials, some cool maps on the back, and then just really a Bible to take your notes in and keep them, I think this would be a great Bible for you to check out. So if you have any questions, please leave those down below. I'd be happy to answer them. Hope you guys have a great day. Take care and God bless.